Have you ever had this really unsettling feeling that one of your friendships is shifting, but you can't quite explain why? I completely understand. But what if I told you that friendships fade for very predictable reasons? And once you can see them, you can actually stop the drift. In this episode, I'm going to walk through the most common reasons that friendships grow apart and what you can do to stop it. If you're new here, I'm Zoe Asher, a friendship coach who has spent the last 15 years sharing over 500 meals with strangers, studying what it takes to build extraordinary friendships so that I can help you level up yours. Let's go. I'm going to talk about the 5 most common reasons why adult friendships seem to drift apart. And I want to start by talking about research that's been done out of the University of Netherlands that I think might feel like a weight off your shoulders knowing this. Because did you know that 7 years is the normal life cycle for adult friendships? 7 years seems to be where social circles begin to change in that sort of cycle. See, life stages and proximity are a big part of it. As you can imagine, if someone has kids and another friend does not, that's going to change the dynamic. If someone moves away and the other one doesn't, that's going to change the dynamic. There's a lot of moments and milestones that happen for adults where it can start to cause a natural drift in your friendships, but 7 years seems to be that critical hinging point. So if you're actually calculating right now and thinking, maybe this is around that time, that actually may not be anything wrong that you've done or that the other party has done. It's just a natural progression of change. So you don't need to feel shamed about it. You don't need to feel guilty about it. Know that what you're feeling is normal. Another reason your friendship might be drifting apart is because perhaps the friendship was built on circumstance. And that kind of friendship is also one that, in a lot of ways, is built out of convenience. For instance, let's use an example of young moms who have kids, and they become friends with the other moms because their kids are friends. That is a friendship based on convenience and out of circumstance. But let's say one child moves out of the district, the parents may not be in close of proximity, let alone relationship, anymore after that because a lot of their time spent together was built on how their life was structured, and it was around the kids. Or let's say you were at a church and maybe there was a church split that happened. Maybe someone moved churches. Well, if they're not in the normal routine of your life, then the friendship is naturally going to feel like it pulls apart a little bit because the routine changed, the circumstance changed. Therefore, it became less convenient. We'll talk about that shortly. That's not to say that's good or bad, it's just a fact. Okay, so the third reason that you could be feeling that your friendships are drifting apart is because neither party is initiating or initiating asking questions that show the other person that you want to be in their life and vice versa, you want them in yours. What we seem to forget oftentimes is that no relationship in our life can run on autopilot. We cannot just expect that what once was will continue to be in the future and presently will remain. Initiating is really important in friendships. And I will be super honest with you, because if you just thought, I'm always the one initiating, I have lots of videos on that. Here's an example of one of what to do when you're always the person that reaches out. But what I have noticed as a through line, that the people I know who have the richest friendships in their life consistently are the ones who initiate more than anyone else in their group. Does that make them desperate? Absolutely not. It makes them intentional. They're actually not going to let it run on autopilot. They're going to put the work in consistently, knowing that the people in their life mean something to them, and they're going to consistently show them that. Now, does that mean they're always the one reaching out? No. But are they doing it the majority of the time? Yes, that seems to be a through line. And it's not a chore when you love the people that are in your life and you want to do life with them. So maybe right now that hits you because you're saying, okay, well, that's fair. I have been waiting for the other person to reach out. I think the important piece we need to remember is that we have to be willing to go first. When friendships are drifting apart, especially, we need to show up and first embody and become the friend that we are looking for and hope to interact with as well. Quick pause for a second. If you're currently questioning a friendship in your life, thinking, is this time for the friendship to end? What do? I don't know what's happening. I made something that I think is really going to help. Most adults were never actually taught how to evaluate our friendships. So we stay too long in the wrong ones, or we walk away from the right ones. That's why I created a free guide called 12 Questions to Ask Before You End a Friendship. It will walk you through the exact questions that you need to ask and think through on your own to figure out whether a friendship needs repair, a real conversation, or it's time to let go altogether. I've spent the last 5 years working as a friendship coach, and my insights on relationships have been featured in Bloomberg, Newsweek, Success Magazine, and more. So if you want clarity on a confusing friendship in your life, grab the free guide using the QR code you see on the screen or the first link you see in the description below. Let's finally get some clarity on where we stand with those friendships in our life. Okay, fourth reason, and this is probably the most common through line in why adult friendships drift apart that I have seen. It's when one party starts to grow and either the other party does not, or the other party starts to grow in a completely different direction. I'll give you a very real example of this. Let's say that you are on a new faith journey, for instance, and your entire friend circle has not been about that. All your friends you've had before have been based on commonalities. Maybe you met them in college. You do activities together, but the values haven't necessarily been aligned, or they were for a time. But now in a faith journey, there's a lot of things inside of you and outwardly through your actions that are starting to change. And you are realizing that you are not the person that you once were. Well, as a result, that friend group that you formerly surrounded yourself with is going to feel a natural sort of drift if you are the only one who is pursuing this faith journey. That's not to say you're better than anyone else. It's just to say you're growing in a different direction than everyone else. So it's important to recognize that friendships that are drifting apart can feel really painful, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It could mean you're growing. It could mean the other person in your life is growing. I actually want to ask a really self-reflective question right now for you. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's a friend in your life who has expressed that they're trying to grow in a certain area or in certain disciplines, and you actually have not encouraged them in that. Maybe they're trying a new fitness routine, a new diet or something like that, and you have been gently, mocking them. Oh, come on. What's one drink? What's one snack? What you don't need to work out today. Could you be inhibiting someone's growth? Because guess what? If that's the case, you're going to notice that drift in the friendship as well. Because if we're trying to grow, we want people who can surround us by supporting that growth we're after too. So it's really important to think through this one. How am I trying to grow? Am I trying to grow? And am I encouraging my friends to grow too? Because Simon Sinek has this beautiful quote where he says that friendship is a community of people that choose to grow together. And the fifth reason that your friendships could be drifting apart is because there is a tension in the friendship that needs attention. Now, yes, it's a play on words, but it's very real. There's a certain tension between you and someone else. It's gone unspoken. You both can feel it, but you haven't addressed that tension in the friendship. And neither party has had the courage to have a hard conversation. Maybe it's a misunderstanding, but this is critical because maybe you don't even know it's a misunderstanding yet because you haven't been willing to have the hard conversation to share how you have been interpreting it versus letting them tell you what's true, how they've been interpreting it, or what's their reality. Because a lot of the times, a lot of the relational problems in our life have to do with the fact that both of us have two different stories in our minds or two different ideas of what should happen or what should have happened. And left to our own devices and isolating ourselves, is a problem because we're just letting swirling thoughts go in our own brain. And if we let those thoughts go long enough without bringing an outside voice to speak truth to it, we can easily start believing lies. And not only believing the lies, projecting those lies onto somebody else. It could be something small in an interaction where someone did something you didn't like, and your brain tells you, see, they hate you because how can they not know that you didn't like that? No, that's a crazy spin. First off, we should never assume people should or should not know if we haven't articulated it yet. If you're hearing this right now and you are realizing that there is this tension in your body, or maybe there's this pit in your stomach when you think about this one person, you don't know what you've done wrong. Maybe you think you've done something wrong. Maybe you have done something wrong, but you want to repair the friendship. I want to encourage you. It is worth the hard conversation, and it is worth walking in humility and being willing to take full ownership for what part you played in it, and also sharing the truth if something was a misunderstanding, and being willing to let them share the truth too and rewrite what could be a lie that you're telling yourself. So here's what you can do to stop the drift. Have a conversation. And I know you might have just heard that and said, I don't want to. That's fair. But what do you want most? Do you want a friendship to end slowly and fade away because you didn't have the courage to actually pursue making it stronger and deeper by being honest? You just have to weigh out how important is it to you. Is holding on to our pride because we can't show people that they hurt us, or we can't let them forgive them or anything like that. What are we letting hold us back from closing the gap and bringing a friendship back together? Yes, this is circumstantial. I cannot speak generically or broadly about anything, but I'm just wondering, in your circumstance, if the reason you're watching this video is because you don't want that drift to happen anymore and you want to do your part to see if you can pull it closer together. Because at the end of the day, the only person we can control and be responsible for is ourselves. And I believe that you are worth having the hard conversations to build the rich, meaningful, leveled up friendships that you have been hoping for your entire life.